Karen had to pick me out. I passed my security evaluation. I don't know what they read through it. They didn't have any. Did you take it?
Yeah, we
I mean, well, we didn't have any questions. We just had a series of sermons about CJIS. So today I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take the schedule, and otherwise you're gonna harass me. But I passed. Did you pass?
I did. It was so small.
How you doing, Fred? Haven't seen you in a while.
I know, yeah.
It's good seeing you.
It's so good too.
Oh, yeah, this time of year, they do real busy.
Serenity, if you go off like that, you gotta take us.
Oh, yeah. Fortunately, it was not for as much fun.
No fun in that.
Next meeting when I'm gone, it'll be
She's
fun.
gonna go have fun again.
Yeah. Next time I'm gone, I'll be on vacation. Then I'll be.
Zoom, they have their chemistry. The second.
You good?
She can tell me who, if I'm on there. Then at the end of the meeting.
Pull your mics to you.
On camera.
Pull your mics to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our Father,
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Let's call this meeting to order.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Gallagher.
Present.
Gallagher.
Present.
Kobe.
Present.
Scarborough.
Present.
Showers.
Present.
Freeman.
Present.
Olson.
Here.
Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. And let's move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
Before we do the consent agenda, everyone should have a new copy of the minutes from June 2nd. What you see highlighted at the bottom is the only change. I mistakenly put that Alderman Gallagher reopened the meeting the second time rather than the promotion of Lisa Stewart, so that's the only change.
Okay.
We approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? Patrick?
So at our last regular meeting, I believe that we spoke about including the HR agenda into the consent agenda items. Is that reflected in the approval for the consent today? Okay, so I will ask that we remove the item and consider it separately from the HR agenda regarding the hire of Pat Gallagher.
Second.
Any further discussion on this? Clerk, call the roll on that.
His or we voting on the consent?
Is it just on the consent agenda as separated then?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, what are we voting on? What he just said?
John,
I'll accept that amendment
Yeah, I already seconded it.
Include his as
to separate his.
I like that.
Okay, this vote will just be on the consent agenda, but subtract it out. Patrick's.
Mine's a separate motion.
Okay,
I got a question.
Do you mean today's HR report or whatever?
Yes.
It's the one before.
today's
But wouldn't
is-
that have to be read first before we could accept it in
We voted 2 weeks ago that we just put it as part of the consent agenda.
here?
no, the items don't need to be read individually, so if there's any discussion on any of the items, you would have the discussion as part of the consent agenda.
Okay.
So if you want to discuss any of the HR recommended hiring, terminations, promotions, annual pay adjustments, then now would be the time to make the discussion about it.
Now we're just voting on separating, aren't we?
So this vote will be for approving the consent agenda as amended, which will be with the update and removing Patrick Gallagher as part of the consent
We
agenda.
made it one.
Okay. But John made the motion to do that, but Linda hasn't made a second.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Debbie.
Second it, so.
Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Scarver,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. And then do we want to have the next portion of the, for Pat now, or do we want that during the personnel committee report?
And it's supposed to be in personnel.
Can we do it in personnel, please?
So what, would we have to make a motion to take the meeting out of order? No? Okay.
Just hold that thought.
Okay.
All right, I do have, a mayor's comment for you. I would like the board to tell me how they want to proceed with hiring on a 1099 basis, a person to balance the cash to the books monthly, and what kind of hourly.
Were we supposed to do approval of expenditures before we do that or not?
That was.
That's just what you did.
Cool. Okay.
Okay.
Do this again.
I want to know how to proceed with hiring on a 1099 basis, a person to balance the cash to the books on a monthly basis. Do you want it to go through the personnel committee? Do you send 1099 people through the personnel committee? Please talk to me, people.
Yeah, I do not know. I wouldn't have a problem with it going to the personnel committee unless, I don't know if we just want to have a discussion first about how we would hire a 1099. Or is that something that we've done in the past?
No, we never have.
We have had,
We've had 1099.
In the portion
In the court.
I'm not aware if we've ever hired somebody for specifically going to mayor's time.
Not for that job.
and I know we've had people as consultants in the past as well.
And they were paid on a 1099 basis.
They were paid on 1099, so that, and that was an admin that we had.
Okay,
one
did they go
consultant.
through the personnel committee or not?
Probably.
I think it would
Historically,
make
probably.
sense to go through,
No, they didn't.
so from a,
We don't have them. I mean, years.
from kind of my thought process, we are discussing the staffing needs of a particular department.
Yes.
So a particular department head is going to come to us and say, hey, here's what I need. I have this job responsibility or this task or this item that I require additional assistance for in order to accomplish it on a specific timetable or to a specific quality level. I think that would become a recommendation of the personnel committee to both hear the department head out, look at what our options are, look at recruiting, hiring on that, and then with the recommendation, once the selection is made. I think that fits in both with the ordinance that we have on our desk later today and with historical practices of the personnel committee.
Okay,
If so, I mean, we can make it a motion. We can be, I move that we,
Have the personnel committee look into that. But it would fall already under the personnel committee, so we wouldn't have to make a motion.
Yeah.
So 1099 hires is going to go through the personnel committee, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Alderman comments?
I do. Can you hear me? Do we have a procedure in writing? So if we should hire some more 1099 people, we kind of have guidelines of what to do. So when the mayor chooses to hire someone, we won't have this kind of conversation that needs structure. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think when we discuss the needs of the specific, we can also talk generally, hey, Clerk Chapman, what is the general process that we follow? And ask for it to be documented in an SOP so that if the question comes up in the future, it seems right in line with the existing discussion that we're gonna have. So that when it comes up, we know.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's important.
Okay, what's an SOP?
Standard operating procedures. Stop.
Sorry, I'm kind of blurring my two occupations together.
Okay, anyone else? John?
Off that topic, on to this chapter 700 sanitary sewer disposal that was in the packet. It involves basically repaying sewer funds to people that have experienced a water leak. I would like to amend this so that we can exclude commercial properties and including in commercial properties, residential rental properties, because that's a business for people. That we shouldn't be held accountable for their lack of managing their businesses.
Sorry, what did you say, Linda?
She was agreeing that they should fix it.
Okay, cool, sorry, I didn't hear. Thank you.
So do we need to send this up to the attorney to have it drafted to so include? And I would think that whether it could be added under conditions, and this may be wherever the attorney sees it would fit best. So that it would basically exclude commercial properties from the ability to
Come back on the
come
city.
back on the city for sewer expenses that were on the water bill for water. But include in that residential rental properties. Because right now the city's standing at between 60 and 70% rental properties for residents, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous for a town no bigger than we are to have that quantity of rentals.
Good. Build apartments, it'll be like 80%.
Right.
More like 90.
If I may on that, to add to that too, just a lot of the houses that have sold this past year are becoming rentals.
Yeah.
Would you include the mobile home park, the exclusion of the mobile home?
It depends on if they're owned,
Right.
because I know a lot of times in a mobile home, they're renting a lot, but they own the actual structure.
Okay.
So if they're renting the structure, yes, it includes them. If they own it, no.
Because a lot of them have come from mobile home parks. In the winter, you know, have the proper skirting
The heat tape.
or yeah, anyway.
Oh, sorry, Stephanie.
It's all good. We put that there for the judge. Okay. I just put it, I can't see people.
Oh.
So I'd like to hear what people are saying.
Okay, so do I need to make a motion for this, or do we just send it to the
Just
attorney?
I think you direct it back to Matthew, and he'll take care of it, and it'll come back in ordinance form.
Okay, that's my recommendation.
Any other alderman comments about anything else?
Actually, yeah, I do have one. I was gonna bring it up at the personnel, but I think it makes more sense now. We were not able to get the YouTube running, the live stream running at the personnel committee meeting. I have not had time yet to do further investigation and looking into that, but just let people know, we definitely need to just keep looking into getting the live stream to be consistent. I still want to get to pull all those stats and everything so that we can see how many people are watching, what the demand is like. Again, I haven't had time to do that yet, so I'm hoping I can do that soon, but just keep that on people's minds. We are still having issues. We thought maybe the Wi-Fi was out, which is kind of, outside of our control, but when I did a speed test, the speed test worked. So there was internet connection, but maybe it wasn't stable, I don't know. So just give people a heads up. We are still having issues with the live stream, but I am trying to work on it when I have time. That's it.
Pat. So I'm interested in the recreation committee, what's going on with that, since we have an exodus of people, and has there been any, I guess, discussion on what are the next steps to make sure it's sustainable? Yeah, the park and recreation, yeah, group.
There isn't anybody.
Excuse me?
There isn't a lot of them. A lot of them have quit.
Okay.
If I may, I could
Yes.
add a little bit.
Do you mind coming up to the mic? If we're gonna be recording, no one's gonna really be able to hear you.
Yeah, that's
Thank
fine.
you so much.
Or see who you are.
Yeah.
There's a voice coming.
Smile.
So, Mary and
Rod Kreitz.
Rod Kreitz both resigned. They're planning on moving. They resigned that officially at the last park meeting. I don't know if they were submitted a
Yes, they
resignation letter. Okay. And then the gal on Kathy Arima, she plans to move back to her where her family is in Chicago in September, October. In that last meeting, they were going to give recommendation on where they wanted the tetherball installed, and they were going to discuss a future meeting that hasn't been determined. That's where that all left on. That's all I know.
So I guess a question then would be, if there's items that would go to the park board and we don't have anyone serving on the park board, does it just come to the alderman?
For now.
Would that be how that works? And then, I mean, the park board, like all of our boards, are just a volunteer basis, so it just comes down to people volunteering to do it, right?
Well, go ahead.
No, I was just question on the tetherball setup. Do we have it? Did it show up?
Yeah, it came a couple weeks ago. Actually, all right, three weeks ago. And I, like I said, I asked them to get it marked with a white flag back there.
They never did anything, and now they're gone. Do we want to just have?
Well, so the other, I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names. The gal that lives on North Brookside is still on.
Right, now, I don't know what her name is, but she was a friend of.
Janet Sutton.
Jeanette.
Yeah, someone. What? Yeah. She's still on there. I don't know. We should, if we've got time, go ahead and get that set up and installed so we can be used instead of sitting in corners.
Yeah, we're ready to go. It won't take us long. It's just go back to concrete, put the pole around, attach it, open the ball.
I think we want to have Chris just pick a spot, put it up, or we want to wait.
I'm fine at this point with Chris picking a spot because there's not that much area out there to deal with.
So they still have a quorum.
They have 3 members.
Yeah.
Do that.
Clark, Israel, Jeanette, and Kathy Arima. And those
When did they
three.
meet?
Excuse me?
When did they meet?
It was the second Wednesday of
Okay.
June. That's,
Okay.
we would meet the second Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
The next meeting was not determined at the end of the last.
And they didn't select the spot at that time.
No, they were at that meeting, we talked, I said, hey, we're ready to install that, if you guys want to let me know where it's going.
I say, we just allow Chris to select the location out there that's the best served for that activity, but still, I mean, don't just put it in the very big middle of an open area. We, some of it to where if something else, we decide we want to put something else in there, we've got space.
Yeah, I suggested that they put it this side of the basketball court.
Okay.
The far side of the basketball court has that slope. This side of the basketball court, a little distance from the edge, where you could actually stand on the basketball court. Hit the ball.
So just any question, is there any issue with us kind of overstepping the park board and us just making that determination, or is that?
You
something
have to
we're allowed
have
to
a
do?
member of the board be on the park board in order to have a meeting.
So technically they have a quorum, but can they not hold meetings?
I think that is a technicality. If
Yes.
you want me to, I can call all three of them tomorrow and say, hey, I haven't heard from you guys. Do you still want to represent this one? Or,
Okay, there's mumbling going on, one at a time. Dean,
Can we table the board talk for later? Because I don't really think we need to, that's not a concern right now.
Well, I think we're ready to nominate a board member
I-
to go on it so that we can get it
Well,
done.
I personally don't think that we need a park board. There's no room for expansion. There's only one event going on. We can all take care of that ourselves. I don't see any reason why we should have a park board.
so the Valley Park is along the straightaway here, and that's all.
Well,
That all has been targeted.
the park board is for the parks and stuff, not for,
That's a park,
It's part two.
not the civic organization park. That's not the city's, but Valley Park right here along South Church, Sobey Speedway, the straightaway right
yeah.
here, is a park that's to be developed. It's been on hold until the apartments get going, and some of the road changes, although it's on the opposite side, but that's what everybody agreed on.
Well,
I nominate Stephanie Freeman to be on the park board, and then she put it in her hands to take care of things.
do you want to accept that?
I'll accept it. So to give some background to Alderman Showers, I've tried, I'm working on getting a community garden started in the back and looking at grants to develop that. So this is a bigger project because one, we're landlocked. Two, there's no grocery stores around here. And there are people who need food. And if we can at least try to create community around gardening, using our resources and being so close to our great firefighters and police officers, creating relationships, I think it would be a very important way to do this, and working on grants to make sure that it's sustainable. So I know you probably weren't privy to that, Alderman Showers, but that's something that I've been passionate about, and that's definitely my background of sustainability, self-sufficiency, and making sure people have access to food.
I understand that, and thank you, but I still don't think that we need a full board. We could do it as a board of aldermen, and you could still have your say-so. I don't see any reason why we need to have a board for the parks.
So, okay, if I may also, and I'm not trying to talk to you, persuade you to way things on, but the park board is also responsible for coordinating some of the day, the park activities.
What's happened? We have one event.
Two, Christmas.
Well, and they would coordinate their tree lighting, which now here may change to a Christmas celebration, which I think is awesome. and they would get very lightly involved in, you know, a few of them.
I still think that we could handle it as the board of aldermen, and she could be in charge of it.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor from Debbie to nominate Stephanie. I haven't heard a second. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second from Jacoby. So, do we want to have further discussion on this?
I think we should. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, the only further discussion I would have, and I guess it technically would be separate on voting for her as, to be on the park board, but maybe there is a middle ground of it being a committee versus a board. I don't know specifically what the difference is. But then it could be maybe, you know, a smaller group, need less people. Right now, how many people are on it? Or technically would be 5?
You can have up to 5,
Yeah.
but you have to operate at least with 3, and one of them be a board member.
So
Pat?
I know we have a nomination on the floor. I just wanted to take a second to talk about Dee's proposal as well. I can certainly see the merits of it. One of the counterpoints to disbanding a park board is when they meet to discuss things, it's just like the personnel committee or the finance committee meeting to discuss things that have been assigned to them. What happens when you start taking all the committees away is our regular meetings become really bloated with additional stuff that could have been discussed, that could have had a 2-hour park board meeting. Now we're having that 2-hour discussion in the middle of a regular board meeting that we also have to do ordinances and hear from the department heads on the roster. So I think as a matter of providing recommendations, doing the footwork, Stephanie working with members of the community to realize and set out priorities and objectives, and then bring those recommendations back to the full board, I think it saves a lot. And if people of the board really care about the park system within Pleasant Valley as well, they can make it an effort to attend those meetings in order to provide their input during their meetings.
And you can also have the alternate vote.
And I also like the idea, we're always talking about wanting to get the community involved. Telling 3 people, oh, sorry, we don't have a board anymore, no room for you, sounds like a really poor move on our board's part of saying, we don't want your involvement, you community people. I mean, really, we want to turn them down?
I'd like to say I would move the time and date because I'm a working person. So I respect everybody's opinion, and I'm looking forward in any capacity to move projects and people's needs and our community needs in a place that's in fruition.
We used to meet prior to the board meeting,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
that helps a lot.
You
It's
can-
10, I think it's 10 or 11.
I think that would be worth negotiating
Yeah,
with
that's
your
fine.
group.
10 a.m. That, everybody on it was retired.
Yes, so that makes it convenient for them, but not for a working person.
Well, they could work around your schedule at that point.
Right, I like that.
It's nice to have younger people on the park board that have children.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, older people have grandchildren, so it's still, might just fine.
Who actually use all those equipment.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
And I
Any
just want to say
further-
thank you for a great discussion. Like it is great hearing pros and cons of every argument. So I encourage us to continue to speak up and speak our mind respectfully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
No,
Freeman,
Oh, yeah.
Olson.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
More work for you.
Oh, that's fine. It's like stuff I like to do.
Any old business?
I would just want to talk, I've had, before I started here, we've had a real big problem on North Fulton with people speeding down through there. I talked to the chief a few weeks ago and asked him if he could pay a little attention to it, and he has, and I've had several neighbors come up to me and say how appreciative they are of what they've been doing. So Chief, on behalf of neighbors in Ward 3 and myself, I want to thank you and your officers for doing a fine job. I know you've been bringing in revenue because they've been telling me. One lady told me that she had 2 stopped at once. So thank you and your officers for the attention. I hope we can continue it because that also brings revenue for the city. Thank you.
I will relay the message.
Also, can you keep pleasant, our Orchard Street, there's several speed traps because there are a lot of young kids on that street. And then just maybe, I know I did ask before I was an older woman about getting some speed trap like flashers. And I don't know whatever became of that with the former mayor, but I would like to discuss that again, and that might be helpful for everybody's ward in generating funds to make sure we have flashing warnings before tickets are given out. Just a suggestion.
Okay. Anything else under old business? Okay. Public comments, guests? No? Judge Sabatlik, would you step forward or roll forward?
Great. Thanks for allowing me to have the chair. My nerve down in my back appreciates it. I want you to know that. That's temporary. So we can move on and it won't affect the other ones. Well, first of all, I want to thank the board for inviting me again to come to what I call the annual State of the Court address. This is kind of my creation that I started over 17 years ago here. And it's the only court that I know of in Clay or Platte County that goes to this extent to give the board or the council input as to what the judicial department is doing. I've always felt like I've had 2 bosses. One is the board and the mayor. Every 2 years, I have the opportunity to be considered to be reappointed. And the other one is the presiding judge of the Circuit Court of Clay County located in Liberty, Missouri. And both of those bosses, so to speak, are very important to me. And so I really relish the opportunity to not only give the board a State of the Court address on an annual basis, but also to encourage any Q&A that you may have, particularly those being new members of the board. One of the things that I used to always bring up is a theory that was developed by a judge in Jefferson City, Missouri. It was called the box theory. And I think Alderman Jacoby is well aware of that because she's heard it before. So forgive me if it's redundant.
No.
But the box theory goes as follows. All of us as city employees or officials are in our own box. The chief of police has his box. I, as a municipal court judge, have my box. Circuit clerk has her box up in Liberty. Sarah has her box. All of you have your boxes. And the challenge that we all face is to remain in our box and don't get out and go into somebody else's box. And as long as we do that, we're doing a large part of the job that was created for us to do. And I'm happy that that box theory continues to be practiced by the police department, by the city department, our city clerk, and by each of you as board members. In over 17 years, I haven't had one person contact me about, well, Judge, what do you think about this case? Why did you do it this way? Why did you make a call this way? It hasn't been done. Everybody stays in their box. And I appreciate that box theory, and I appreciate this board especially continuing that philosophy that I think is so helpful. I also want to congratulate the new members of the board. I think you have a right to know who the head of the judicial department is. And I'm very proud of our female mayor now again, because my daughter is the first female mayor of the city of Flossmoor, Illinois, located in Cook County, after 100 years of incorporation. So I'm very proud of that particular thing. And it's being streamed starting at 7:30. So I will be in time to see my daughter for about 2 hours tonight and 2 hours in 2 weeks via streaming. So congratulations to those of you that are members, and I look forward to reporting to each of you if you ever have any questions regarding the general makeup of the court. There's 7 things I want to point out to you tonight. The first thing is that this court is able to utilize more efficient and better efficiency in terms of cases that are coming down and are presented to us every 2 weeks. We can stand more cases. And the reason why we do that, we can do that, is because so many of our cases with lawyers are resolved by the internet, by pleas that are negotiated, submitted to me through Sarah. I approve them. They don't have to show, the clients don't have to show, so our dockets are reduced. We used to have dockets of 350 to 400 cases every 2 weeks. Now we're down to 250. Does that mean that we're not as busy? No. It just means that Sarah and I are on the internet more, approving plea agreements via DocuSign than actually having people come that they don't need to come in regards to relatively simple matters. So we are utilized. Are we underutilized? We are to some extent, and we're willing and able, I think, to take any more additional cases that may come down the pipe concerning any issues, whether it be general ordinance violations or traffic violations. The second thing is, I think general ordinance violations are increasing in attention by residents. I see more people concerned in my court about vicious animals, about overgrown weeds, junk cars, things of that nature. And those are important to me because I always think, how would I like to live next to those situations? And many times there will be people coming to court that just want to let off steam concerning these issues. And what we try to do is to very much make sure that we supervise any type of violation to make sure it doesn't happen again. We utilize probation in the greatest way possible in general ordinance violations. So we have a very good ordinance violation officer. She has done a marvelous job, and I commend the chief for appointing her to that position. We're ready, willing, and able to take on more, because I believe that you're entitled to have a community that is governed appropriately by the ordinances that are enforced by the ordinances. Thirdly, we are continuing to take mentors, to be a mentor to various municipal courts. We've been doing this for enough number of years that we've had Kearney, we've had Gladstone, and we've had one other, Liberty, yeah, frequently contact us regarding how we do things in our efficiency in our court. And we didn't make the wheel, but I think we know how to turn the wheel. And we're very pleased that people do come to Pleasant Valley Municipal Division, as in from other municipal divisions, to get our opinion as to how it is to be done. and hopefully that's the right way. The fourth thing is we have defeated efforts to make our municipal court prisoners and what we pay for their having them in the Clay County Jail subservient to circuit court prisoners. We had a meeting last year, not last week, but last year with the sheriff of Clay County. And what he proposed to do is to increase our hourly or daily rate for housing municipal court prisoners. We don't have that a lot, but we do need to have that option. And the previous daily rate was $59 a day flat. He proposed that it be increased to $206, that in addition, inmate and booking be a new charge of $68, an administrative fee of $48, an emergency hospital trip of $250, and for one 24-hour hold, $500. Now, in my opinion, what that would have done is it would have placed our judgments and our commitment orders secondary to what is done in the Circuit Court of Liberty. And the sheriff has the responsibility of making sure that the commitment orders of all judges are followed. Me, all the other municipal judges, and the Circuit Court judges. My judgments aren't any less than the judgments that are in Liberty and in the Circuit Court. And so I brought that up to the sheriff in our meeting that the presiding judge had, and I indicated to him I felt that that was discrimination, and that if that in fact was adopted, what would happen is that the public would be rather irate about it. And it just might get into a local newspaper in the area. And so the sheriff indicated he would study it and get back to us. Well, he studied it and didn't get back to us. And guess what? We're not into any of those ridiculous increases in costs. So I bring that up because I'm not afraid of playing that card of publicity if we need it to make sure that the integrity of our judgments are carried out, so that when the chief takes somebody up to Clay County to be housed, we're not going to be gigged, quite frankly. So that's something that we are very proud of doing. Fifth, we continue to collect fines and costs at a higher percentage than any other court in the area. And how we do that is that we do a prepaid methodology. And what that means is if somebody comes to court and wants to plead guilty and doesn't have the money to pay, I certainly understand it, but I want to know when that person would have the money. And so most people say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, etc. And so what I do is I continue the case until that next court date after what I was promised that would be a payday, so to speak. And that if it's paid by that next court date, nobody has shown up. But if it's not paid, and if nobody shows up, I issue a warrant for that person's arrest. And guess what? We have an excellent collection rate that we have in this division. So this is unique to Pleasant Valley. It's prepay, I call it. I love this philosophy because I think it gathers the money on judgments that this city didn't deserve to have in its general revenue. Sixth, payments of fines and costs are now at the front window as opposed to downstairs. If any of you have been to court, you've seen that once a judgment has been made, the defendant and his or her attorney, if they have one, has to go downstairs with an officer and with a clerk. That can be problematic for a variety of reasons. And so now we have fines and costs at the window as a person leaves the courtroom. And the final thing, the seventh thing that I want to talk about is I think we have the best staff here in Clay County. Sarah and Lisa have been extraordinary in working with them. It's a pleasure to work with them. We all stay in our box and we all do the job that we're supposed to do. So it makes us, I think, be the standard of excellence in municipal divisions. And I don't mind saying that because for the most extent, it's because of the job of Sarah and Lisa in being able to keep up with me, and I'm able to keep up with them in what I do. So I want to thank you for allowing me to talk. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and then I'll let you get back to the rest of your business.
I just wanted to make it clear that the fee that is being charged up at the county is still the $59. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. Chief, what is it?
Okay.
Is it still 59?
Okay, thank you.
We're holding it at 59.
Well, I want to thank you again, Chris, for your.
We appreciate your time.
Honoring us with all this.
Well, I don't expect you to be in my court.
I have been,
in an
but that's
official
just in the
capacity.
audience.
But
Well,
if-
no, I've gone up and listened.
But
come in and
if
listen.
anybody wants to sneak in and be in the back, I'm proud to have anyone here to listen to our proceedings.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. It's good to see you and best wishes.
Back at you.
Thank you.
Okay, advisory committees, administration, Matthew?
I have provided a written report. The only direction I would need from the board is the two water credit requests that I provided. Change because it's currently in effect, so I will go through them.
John?
I would recommend that we pay the Zimmerman. I'm still hesitant on paying the one on the commercial property.
Patrick?
So I just want to make sure I got the facts right. The Terry Zimmerman one, he provided all of the correct documentation. Clerk Chapman, you performed the necessary calculations. I can see on the back page there. It means that their credit would be $161.83, correct?
For Mr. Zimmerman?
For Mr.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Has he filed any previous sewer consumption adjustment forms? Do you know?
I didn't check, but I have not seen it. I'm not aware of anything.
Okay.
Chris, can you answer that question?
I'm sorry, I was thinking about my question. What was it? I'm sorry.
One of the one-time sewer consumption adjustment forms was for Mr. Zimmerman. Are you aware of Mr. Zimmerman filing these in the past?
That I don't know. That whole
Okay.
program is administered by
Okay.
administration.
So I have another question.
Yeah.
Are you
Stephanie.
done? I just want to make sure.
I have one more point, but you can make
So
your
my
point too.
question is, for the AOL mail, I just want to confirm that, it says on the side that Wednesday, December 4th, don't have a receipt. Did you finally get a receipt for this, gentleman?
No, there was no receipt to give. He did the repair work himself.
Okay.
So the receipt would have been for him to prove to us that a repair was made, that there was, I think he bought supplies, but he didn't know at that time he needed to provide a receipt, so there was no receipt to provide. But the billing was proof of the leak, but I don't have a receipt for the repair.
And he's
Did he
not,
say how much?
and he's not asking for repair.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Let me go to Chris.
But I just wanted to make a comment about, don't we currently have an ordinance that does not, like John's recommendation is to not pay the commercial one? Doesn't our ordinance state, as it exists now, that anyone's eligible for it? I just didn't know if there's a conflict with.
Well, that was gonna be an upcoming question
Okay, I
for John.
totally understand, and I love that idea, John, but I just didn't want.
Well, first of all the information that he's supposed to supply for the commercial one isn't supplied.
What is it missing in your opinion?
No proof that it was fixed.
We're talking about the second one now,
Yeah,
The stop.
the World Star.
Yes.
I'm sorry, can we go back to the Zimmerman
Yeah.
one real quick? I just want to tie the bow off on that one. Clerk Chapman, in your opinion, did they provide all the necessary documentation to you for substantiating their claim?
Yeah, they provided enough to me that was clear in my opinion, and then also the water department's opinion that there was in fact a leak. Like he said, whatever repairs were required, he made those himself.
Okay. I just wanted, so everybody received a copy of chapter 700. I want to flip over to subsection, I think it's D. It's adjustment procedure on page 3. So look at the bottom. It says 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and then 3 of 3. Number 9 says, if the correct documentation is provided, these adjustment requests will be reviewed and approved as follows. Subsection A says, adjustment amounts up to $500 by the city clerk with report to the board at the next regular board meeting. So, and then the part B of that is, if they're asking for more than $500, then that would require board approval. We would need to review the documentation, we would have to review the calculations, but then we as a board have the ability to say, yes, we will pay this, or no, we won't. So on the Zimmerman one, I don't think that there's a motion to be made. It's a matter of the Clerk Chapman identifying that the documentation had been provided and the amount that was calculated was less than $500. And according to our on the books ordinance right now, it gets paid out automatically with a report back to the board that says, hey, we got this one-time sewer consumption adjustment form. It fit all the requirements, and I went ahead and paid it.
Was there any other reason that you brought it before the board?
I was encouraged by former board members to take these kind of things to the board regardless of what they say.
Okay.
And then I would suggest, and maybe this is something we can talk about in the future, now that we have the era of technology, to have proof of pictures if they're not going to have receipts. Something or video, because now it's going to be our word against their word, and if the water company can determine if it's a leak or not. So just we need to make sure we cover ourselves and make sure our customers are being forthright and transparent with their activities.
So I would say if we wanted to include that, would we have to update
The ordinance?
ordinance?
That's something we need to do.
Would we also want to have an inspection by the Public Works Director
I think
after a repair is made?
I totally agree.
Particularly if it is a self-made repair?
He's like, oh, no.
So if I
Chris,
may, that.
Do you mind coming up to, because if we're recording, I can honestly say I wouldn't be able to hear that. Excuse me for being.
So that would happen automatically.
Okay.
Because they would have to get a permit to do the repair, and that would trigger the inspection. Do you know if the owner of this address, Terry Zimmerman, do you know if he or she's related to Jeremy Zimmerman that runs the water?
I didn't ask.
That runs what?
The water department.
Just a question.
No, he is not. I know that for sure.
Clark Matthew, you said something that technically it's supposed to work that way. How is it currently working at this time when there is a complaint or a water bill issue? Can you go through the process of that so we can understand how we can tweak this better to make sure if we do update the ordinance, it reflects what the expectation of the alderman and the mayor and what you view as you are frontline of interacting with our customers?
This is, these two, I make three since I've been here that I've brought to the board, so it's not a common occurrence. But just having this discussion is really refreshing to me, because I feel like moving forward, the next time, because I think it will happen again, somebody's gonna come to me requesting a credit for a water leak. I think even just having this discussion, I think next time it happens, excuse me, I'll have a better sense as to what this board wants to see, what I need to be able to give to this board for you to make an informed decision as to whether or not you should or shouldn't grant that credit. So I think it's been disjointed, for lack of a better word, just because it hasn't happened much. But I think going forward, I love the idea of adjusting the ordinance to have them provide proof via picture. Prove a picture of the leak, prove a picture of the repair. So I think moving forward, I think the whole process will be smoother.
And I also think of receipt, even, I mean, we might just have to have a page online or in person. These are the things we need when we consider approving something over $500.
Yeah, I don't love the form that you see that they filled out. I created that form because we didn't have it.
Oh.
So I don't love that form.
Great job.
If there's things you don't like about that form, that's an easy fix to make it better. But
Can this be put online? I'm just curious. Okay. I mean, it's a great start.
If you can put that form online, it would also require or request that post and prior pictures or photos of the damage and the repair. Should also substantiate, so when they look at that form and print it out, or fill it out, they can theoretically do that and then bring it to you.
And if you need me to help you do a Google form like that, so you can just link it and they can click it and upload the documents, I'm more than willing to help you do that, Clerk Chapman. You're welcome.
Are you having your hand up?
No, sorry, clenching my pen.
Twiddling your fingers. Okay. So we've settled the Zimmerman. Now we're moving on to the Star World Star, whatever they are.
So the first question is just, as of right now, have they provided the necessary documentation that you need to even consider an adjustment?
they haven't yet, but like I said, going through the process, I don't think they knew what to provide, and enough time had passed. I don't know if they're going to be able to provide it. It's kind of the same situation. There was pretty obviously a leak based on the amount of the bill. So I can ask again. I have been in touch with the lady that made the request. So.
And they only just made the request. It's not like the request was made months ago.
They made it in March.
March 25th.
Yeah,
Okay. So what's the reason that it's only coming to us now?
There was all of the turnover on the board, and like I said, I wasn't 100% familiar with the process. I originally brought it to the board several months ago.
Okay.
I was told I didn't have the right documentation, so I went back to actually both of these people, and they gave me what they could. It doesn't probably quite meet the criteria, but it was obviously there was a leak, so I wanted to bring it to the board for consideration.
So my main question is just if they were Because if we months later came to them and said, hey, actually, we need receipts of this stuff, or we need documentation of whatever, and we're the reason that they don't have it because we took too long to ask for that information, that's one thing. Where if we asked them at the beginning, and now it's been months, but that's because we've had to ask them now multiple times for this documentation, then that's now on them. So I mean, as long as it's not an issue with the board delaying the process and then them having, because then that's our fault, and I feel like we have a different responsibility there. But if we requested the correct information from them from the beginning, then I think it's their job to provide it. If they don't have it, that's on them.
Chris, were you ever called to inspect whatever issues there were?
I wasn't, and I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know off the top of my head because I get too many permits, but I'd like to know when they got the permit to do the work, the remodeling work on that building. Because
it's the Valley Pub, isn't it?
yeah, if they were working on the building at that time, it could have been a plumber who did something wrong that caused this leak, which is just what I'm suspicious of. I don't know how I would prove it, but no, I don't recall. I know I didn't have an inspection for a repair on this.
Okay.
Mr. Chris?
Yeah.
Could you go through the process of, the permit process of just using like World Star and Mr. Zimmerman's process? What if a person comes and says, hey, I have a leak, what are the processes? I'm being Clerk Chapman, you can chime in. I just want to get a clear understanding of what's going on.
So the process of obtaining a permit?
Yes.
So they would come to City Hall and they would, or online, and they would request a permit application. They would fill it out, submit it, and they would pay the permit fee. Then they would get a placard to put visible in the front of the house or business to show that they have a permit.
Okay.
That eliminates people calling saying, hey, you're doing work without a permit.
Okay.
And then they're responsible, either the owner or the contractor is responsible to call to request the permit. And then I go out, look at it, make sure the work was performed to code. And then I send an email saying, this was inspected and all work was done from code.
Okay. So, all right, thank you, Mr. Chris. So, Mr. Chapman, Clerk Chapman, so they come to City Hall and then all these processes occur. Then what are your steps?
Well, Public Works and Administration will kind of work together on that process, because a lot of times they will come to City Hall first, they'll fill out, there's a form that we have them fill out, we'll typically fill out the placard he's talking about, and put it on the desk that Chris uses at City Hall. So Chris will review the form that we and the customer have filled out, and he will typically approve that form. Once that form's been approved and they've paid, then we'll fill out the placard and then come back and get their approved form and the placard, and then they can do the job that they're given for.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So we've inherited this from the previous board. What are we going to do with it, people?
I think we need to table this World Star.
Okay.
And let Chris look to see when the permit was issued for them to begin work up there.
Okay.
See if he can discern prior to or afterwards. But I mean, they submitted their water bill in this form. Did they bring this with them, this breakout?
I
You got
requested that from.
that from the water department. So they didn't really say a pipe burst and repairs are completed. What kind of pipe, where was it? So on and so forth, so I don't think there's enough information for me to go along with giving them back over $500.
Yeah,
Because there's been a time up there where they went in there and worked and they didn't come back for 2 or 3 weeks. That's not our fault.
and I will say, our ordinance already talks about vacant locations and the calculations used for if the location is vacant. And then when you look at the adjustment process, there are some specific call outs of when there are no adjustments that will be made, such as if the water that flowed went back into the wastewater system. So if it spilled out into the yard, that did not re-enter our system. But if it's a commercial location and it's spilled out onto the front concrete area and there's like a stormwater drain that's right nearby, then that would be returned back through the stormwater. So to follow up on John, I think we need way more information in order to figure out whether it fits this bill or not.
As well as the floor drain inside those establishments.
Yeah.
But typically, there's a floor drain in the back room where the water comes in, so
There
all of that water would have gone right into, I mean, it probably destroyed some drywall or whatever, but the water went back into the sewer system, so.
And my question would be, again, I'll refer to date. It could be that it was purchased and then they went in, they turned water on to do something. And somebody left it on, because over the winter, pipes might have frozen.
Right.
Anyways, if it helps, I can get the date on one, I'll say.
I do agree, we need to investigate this a little bit more so we have a picture of what's going on. And then also next steps of what we should do to make sure we can explain the rationale of what we're gonna do.
So, John, you're still on the tabling it?
Yeah, I move we table this.
And is there a second?
Second.
Was that Linda? Okay. Is there any further discussion?
I definitely, if, maybe we need to have with that tabling, a discussion of how the form should be and how we're going to put it online or in person so that we can, and maybe run it through legal, just make sure we have all the components of it to, so if we ever get, let's say, sued or something, we have all the components to protect ourselves if we're challenged.
Okay.
So
We have the attorney look at that form.
Yeah, we could, but I think we internally just look at it, see if we think we need to make some tweaks to it. Against the actual ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
that we
yeah, just
have
like
in
read the
place.
ordinance and look at the form, make sure.
Yeah,
It has all the
make sure
pieces.
They line up. And if need be, if it's needed to be sent on to the attorney to look at it, I don't have a problem with that. Just to make sure that we
That we do it right.
yeah, make sure that we're doing it right, but I don't know that we can go too far out in the left field on that.
So I think we have a motion to table.
Is there?
It was
Clerk
already
call-
second.
Clerk call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
All right. Anything else from you? You promise?
Maybe not.
I just have another question. I know you said you're going to be attending the Murmur conference. You're not asking for it to be closed because Lisa will be here for those 3 dates.
You're not
July
asking for the
23rd,
office to
24th,
Oh,
and
no,
25th.
no, that's just information.
Okay, cool.
Lisa will be here.
Cool, thank you.
Human resources. Public works. Is it human resources? Is this the one where we have
That's
to
part
vote?
of,
Oh, so that'll be during the personnel committee.
Where's personnel?
F
F.
in 11,
Okay,
that's recommendations coming through human resources, so.
thank you. Chris?
Yes, I stick with it. This may be more information than you wanted, but I wanted to be able to provide you guys with hopefully enough information to, decide on it. I do have $5,000 that was put in the sewer repair account for 2025. So unless there's some other reason why there is a kind of a rush on this, I've identified 3 locations that are the worst in town, targeted for repair. This started because,
Are you talking about sewer or are you talking about
I'm
sidewalks?
talking about sidewalk, did I say so?
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
you did.
I'm sorry, I got sewer scope going on. So Merva came to us and weren't real happy with our
Sidewalk ordinance.
ordinance, yeah. In researching it though, shortly after that, I found that neighboring cities all had an ordinance that matched ours, saying homeowners are responsible. Merva said, no, you'll lose a lawsuit if somebody gets hurt. So like I said in the notes here, I researched town hall meetings and information from residents, looked at ordinances and all that. The bullet points here are what I feel like need attention. And I swore that we had sidewalks less than 4 feet wide in town. And I went around and checked and measured, and we don't. So scratch that. So I guess the main thing to consider is, do we want to have residents share cost? And then we would have to initiate criteria for repair. Otherwise, you'd have the town hall meetings where, well, I'd like, my neighbor got their sidewalk repaired and I want mine repaired too. And then you go out and you look at it, and it doesn't meet the criteria for danger. Or there was people that were like, yeah, I'm selling my house and I'd like the sidewalk to be pretty. Can you come do my sidewalk? Things like that. Which I don't feel like warranted the repair.
No.
Mainly, obviously, due to cost. I mean, if we went and replaced all the sidewalks in town, it'd be $1.5 million. I guess fortunately or not, 40% of our city has sidewalk. The rest doesn't. Maybe we'd get there someday, but it is pretty costly. I gave a kind of a cost estimate on what the rates are going. So I don't know how y'all feel about that.
Well, I would like to see the board take this up in a work session, because it looks like that we probably need to redo our ordinance, and there are a lot of components to this. So that would be my wish if I get to have one.
Okay, so you have the current ordinance, and then I put in the sample ordinance. Which I don't remember if that was, it wasn't Smithfield's, the other program for Smithfield.
I think you've provided us with everything that we would need to use in the work session.
Great.
Is there anybody that disagrees with that?
I disagree. If you could find other examples of other towns that might have something like that, that would be great.
Something in terms.
Like in terms of what would qualify for us. So yes, we have like, I think you gave 2 to 3 examples, but maybe a couple of more of how they sustained it. Because that's one thing I'm interested in understanding. If we have the sidewalks and these criterias, how have these towns, are the ones that you've used, sustained this process and made sure that the owners or those that own the properties maintain it? I just want to see what the long-term viability of it is. That's, if you could do that. If not, I can figure something out.
So you're asking to get more examples of cities that are requiring homeowner shared costs?
What I'm asking is, you gave us ordinance, but what I want to see is how have these ordinance gone through in these towns over like 3 to 5 years, 10 years? What was the success rate? So then we have a better idea long-term as well, how this is going to impact our communities. And go ahead.
So for example, the Smithville one, it says that they will do a cost share agreement. How has Smithville implemented it? Has it been sustainable for them? What's the feedback from residents? Has it been utilized? Like, I imagine that's the sort of data and information.
Exactly, that's the data. So we can make the best sound decision on how they managed it, or if they had challenges and how they usurped it.
So
It just didn't think.
one of the things that comes to mind with that would be the largest cities having larger staff.
Absolutely.
There's gonna be, it would inundate me, if it was on me to coordinate that, and I cannot collect money. I'm not bonded.
Okay, so those are good things to know.
Or it would put a whole lot of work on Matt's department.
So what I'm just saying, we're looking at our town size in the same ordinance. If you could find other towns about the same
Similar
size
population.
and how they've resolved or how they propose sidewalk management.
Yeah, I can do that.
Because
Yes.
don't some of the areas need the whole sidewalk basically replaced in a lot of areas?
Not if you're following the, what we would determine to be criteria. Half inch.
Yeah, well, my neighbors is like that.
So that would certainly fall under.
Yeah, it
the
needs
criteria. And we would
fixed.
go, however this gets implemented, we would go through the entire city over the course of some years and we target an area, do an assessment, repair, and move on.
John? No, Pat, sorry.
So I think a working session is a great idea for this. There's a lot of discussion that we can have for it. And some of the information that Councilwoman Freeman or Alderman Freeman brought up would be great to discuss in that meeting. One of the other things I wanted to add to the agenda, or add to the data that we collect for that work session is if Myrma is saying that our current ordinance doesn't work, what does a model ordinance look like for them? So come to us with a solution, not just telling us we have problems.
So Patrick and I sat down and it was basically, you guys need to take over the repair of it, or you're gonna have costly legality issues. The gist of my meeting with Patrick.
Okay.
And they don't have a model one.
They don't have a model one.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
it.
the problem.
Okay, that's the problem.
Because they don't, as a protection for them, they don't want to tell us what we have to do, but they're leaning on us to make us do something.
John?
I would like to add that in your gathering of information, that if you could potentially put together A
Sidewalk.
long-term plan, like you do for the road and street.
That would be part of the, going through the whole city and identifying areas.
Because I looked coming up here tonight, coming up South Brookside, and every storm sewer drain on South Brookside and up this stretch right here has a minimum of 1 inch drop on both sides. The sidewalk is lower.
A lot of them do, I don't know that they're all.
All of my sides. But that said, if we have a 1/2 inch variance listed in our ordinance, then that would basically every location, every lot that has a sidewalk and a storm drain is gonna have to be adjusted, whether it's just-
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, whether it's just, drill a hole, put some foam in there to raise that sidewalk up.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be the cheapest way out in the beginning.
Maybe, that's what I'm gonna, the three, unless you want me to hold off on the three that I've identified to be the worst, use the $5,000 allocated. My next part of the project was to get bids for a leveling company and a tear out of the place. And get
For those 3 projects.
just.
I wouldn't
those
have a
three.
problem if you could put that data together and bring it to the work session, and that'd give us some better numbers to work with.
Well, yeah, I would
on our
certainly-
options.
I would share that
Yeah.
with you, but I guess my question is, once I identify the best pricing, go ahead and get it scheduled, because, sometimes in the public works world, things take forever for multiple reasons outside of my box. So, and then when you see that occurring, that storm inlet is a concrete box that is anywhere from 4 to 6 feet deep. That storm box isn't moving.
Well,
Sidewalk.
it's a sidewalk, because they don't backfill and compact correctly up against it.
They don't get good compaction in.
You
over
don't
the
get
years.
compaction, and it settles because rainwater runs beside it.
Most of the stuff in our town, including driveways and sidewalks, were built on what used to be pasture, and there was compaction issues. But yeah, I will collect that. Anybody thinks of something else you want as part of
I
the
also-
process? Send me an email.
I think the other thing would be, like, in your expertise, like, suggestions and solutions, that we could possibly look at and cost, because then that'll give us a better picture of what you're envisioning, so we understand where you're going with, these repairs too.
There's Brenda Lane has the worst one.
It
Sidewalk comes to the manhole, and it is literally, it rises up probably 8 inches. Meets the top of the sidewalk where the manhole is, and it drops the same on the other side. Yes.
Okay, I want to move this along. We're going to do a work session on it, and we'll let you know as soon as we schedule that.
Right, and you're just gonna reach out like via email to
Yep.
figure out a time for the work session?
Let me know, give me a little bit of time to collect this stuff, and then fire.
Okay, Thank you.
Just a reminder, I do have money budgeted to fix some stuff this year. 5,000 might fix more than just those 3 spots.
It's free.
You're right.
Right?
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
I know it's pretty expensive.
Fire department.
There's a written report in your packet. Anybody has any questions?
I'm just curious what series, 600, the series, what is that?
Those are things like canceled en route, things that didn't amount to anything, good intent calls. It's kind of a package of we don't have anywhere else to put it, so it goes in there.
Okay.
Might let everybody's probably got 2 reports from you, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know, okay.
I-
I'm sorry, I amended the report, in the 2024 year-to-date, last year, I had, the total was right, but in the first report, I had neglected to change the numbers. So, the one with 178 EMS calls is the correct one. And then, it didn't show up in your packet this month, but it will next. We had a ambulance repair for our Medic 44. We had a transmission cable broke. We were able to get it back to the station. We've also been having issues with the steering locking up. So.
And when is the new ambulance coming?
Not soon enough.
Okay.
So, but it was also due for oil change and fuel filters and such. So that total was about like I said, about $3,700. But you'll see it next month.
Thank you.
You had your crime report in your packet. Just make one little note on that. The stealings, we had one night with car break-ins. We think there was a gentleman that came over from Kansas City and did it. We're just trying to figure out who it is because it came from that area and worked its way this way. So we're still working on trying to identify him. Other than that, the only thing that I wanted to talk about was a speed cart. So I was approved for this year's budget to buy a speed cart. Excuse me.
What is that?
So it's a trailer that's got a single axle. It's got batteries and stuff on it, solar powered, and it has a speed detector on it, radar. Kind of like that. So it's on a big old cart, and it's about 15 grand. So I thought about it a little more. I'd actually rather buy one or two of these signs because they can just go on a regular like street pole. The speed cart, like I said, was roughly about 15,000. I can get one of those for about 5,000. We'd be able to move them easier, so we can go from street to street. That speed cart would not be able to go on like a side street like Brandon or Orchard, just too big. So these little signs would actually work better and they're cheaper. So I would like to purchase 2 of them. So it would be about $10,000. So you're saving about $5,000. And we had 2 instead of just 1.
So you're asking our permission to save money.
Correct.
I think that's great. That's it.
What about install? I think they can go, I haven't talked to anybody about the signs I want now. But I think they can just go on a regular, like no parking sign pole or something like that. And they're all have, I guess, anti-theft systems on it. I mean, I'm sure they can be stolen if it really wanted to work at it, but they can lock up. Yeah. That is my wish.
Now, does this go back to a video camera that we can keep or
It's
not?
not a video camera. Some of them you can purchase, has like an online cloud thing that it does stats for you. Tell you how many cars pass, what their speeds are. That's the one that I would like to purchase.
Okay.
It's not a camera.
Okay.
But it'll flash if you want it to, their speed. So it'll be kind of like what you wanted this morning. Signs or whatever.
But it'll give us the statistics of, hey, we had 600 cars pass by this in a month. 70% of them were traveling in excess of 5 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. Cool.
So they might target like locations and times with that to identify. I know the judge would be happy.
I just want to be clear. I don't think that this will like trigger tickets.
No.
This is more data gathering.
No, and that's what I mean.
Okay.
It's what I'm saying is we can use it and do an asset mapping of like, if 5-10 miles per hour between the time zone of 8 to 10, then we can say, okay, we
You just sit a car there.
And as people can sit right there and get tickets, and that's why I said the judge be so ecstatically happy.
Can you describe the mounting process for it? I can visualize a speed cart. You pull it behind the truck and then you park it. What does this look like?
So I can pass this around. So that, I mean, looks like a no parking sign.
Yeah.
That would be more of a square pole. Square with the holes in it.
Would we have to dig a hole every time we want to move it?
That's what I'm hoping, I gotta find out some more information.
Depends on where the post is.
Yeah. So I'm hoping I can put them on existing poles.
I guess my concern, if it's gonna be put on an existing pole, making sure it doesn't fall up or no one can walk away with it. I
Yeah.
mean, so would there be like a tracker on it, or you buy one just in case? Because I know kids and adults like trophies, so, they do that, so, and, yeah. Just wanna make sure $5,000 doesn't walk away.
They do lock up,
Bedroom.
and I'm sure we can't put a tracker on
Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, you can buy those
air tags.
air tags, you can pack a 10 of them for like $50.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
So the cheaper ones wouldn't have the data-driven stuff on it, but if you get, like I said, the $5,000 one that I want to purchase does have that data option on it.
Yeah, I think two of them that would be able to provide the board and the police department additional data on how to target speeding. That's a big safety concern.
I'm sorry.
Is it, which
I
of
was-
these three is it?
It's the one on the right.
Okay.
So if you had, if you could get $15,000 and get a third one, would that be even more beneficial? And where would you put it if you had that opportunity?
I think 3 would be a lot, just because, I mean, someone's gonna have to move them.
Okay.
So I don't know if, I mean, I would probably do it or somebody on the police department. I don't want to have them do it.
Yeah, I'd be curious as to the process, the mounting process and the ease of moving.
I bet it's pretty.
I would think so.
The hard part is you have to create a pole to put it on, because then you gotta call, phone call and dig concrete.
We don't want to say, okay, we've got 29 streets here, I want 30 posts set randomly around the city so we can move them. And then there went your 10 grand.
Well, if you did a survey asking people if they want one on their street or by the house, I think you get a lot of yeses.
You get a
But
ton of
you also
yeses.
definitely get some people that would be upset.
Yeah,
That's
those
now
are,
in their yard, they're gonna mow around or they like to speed.
they're the ones that are like 50 mile an hour down the street.
Okay, is there anything else, Jared?
That's it.
I
I guess I got it.
Yeah, yeah, well, I'm just curious as to the mounting procedure, ease of moving.
Yeah, and with that much money, I have to get a quote for all of them anyway, so I can find out more information.
Do we need a motion to approve you, looking at this instead of the speed cart? Or can it just be to change from a speed cart purchase to a radar sign purchase?
I think you should move to do that.
So I make a motion that we approve the chief to move forward with a radar sign purchase instead of the speed cart purchase. 2 radar sign purchases.
I second.
Okay, it's moved by Serenity, seconded by Dean. Any further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you. Okay, Sarah.
I provided my report. The only thing I did not add in there is we were audited by the state, court called Office of State Court Administration this past week.
Please grab your microphone. Sorry.
We were audited by OSCA.
Okay. And
We'll have a
is that a
report soon.
surprise audit or is that,
No, she gave me a heads up.
okay.
How frequently do they do that?
Every few years.
Every 2 or 3 years.
Cool. We'll
And
have a
then-
report in 3 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And she told me there's an ordinance that we have to update, which is our court cost ordinance, because it still talks about board bills. We're not charging board bills, but it still talks about it. So we'll update that. And then we haven't done payment plans. So we'll have to start doing payment plans. And she got all of Craig County on that, so.
Oh. Okay,
That's about it.
that sounds good. Thank you. All right, would all of the department heads like to leave at this point?
Except our favorite.
Sorry. Nah, that's sorry.
Personnel committee?
Yeah, I think you guys can go unless you just want to hang out.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Okay.
Well, I'll just.
Okay.
So I did not have a written report, although that's something I want to do. I'm gonna kind of look in, and if people have any feedback on how they'd like a written report to look from the personnel committee. But I'm just gonna hit on the points that we talked about. I'm gonna make it quick because I know I wanna leave. It's been long. So first, let's go ahead and do the approval of hiring Patrick Gallagher. So I'm gonna have that first. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve to hire Patrick Gallagher, a volunteer firefighter, $0 per call, pending background check, screen, and physical.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? I just have a question, Pat. Have we gone through the attorney, the Missouri Municipal League to check this all out? Chief?
The Missouri Ethics Committee has ruled on this years ago.
Okay, I'd like you to speak into the microphone, particularly on this.
The Missouri Ethics Commission has wrote an opinion on it. Is that it?
Yeah.
Which basically says you can be a council person, alderman, and be a volunteer firefighter, with the exception that you cannot receive any pay, so that he would not be eligible for call pay.
Okay.
But otherwise, there's not a conflict of interest. In his current situation with his wife on the fire department, I don't think that he would be abstaining any less than he would now on issues that would pertain to the fire department. So I just don't see an issue with him. He's a licensed EMT, and there's just no reason not to approve that.
Okay, now, do we also provide equipment for Patrick? Can we do that
We do.
as a volunteer?
We do for all our volunteers.
Okay, so he would be no different.
He's no different.
Okay.
Absolutely no different.
Okay. That answered my question. Anyone else?
And I will say, if anybody has any questions about why the arrangement, I'm more than happy to answer.
You can't, didn't you come from the fire department to begin with?
I did. I was encouraged by actually Chief Knudsen as a local resident and someone who cared about how the city was doing to volunteer as an alderman. And so I got elected the first term. I got reelected this term, and I feel like we're doing both roles, from the lowest volunteer to the Board of Aldermen. We are helping push the safety and well-functioning government. And Yeah, it turned off the batteries. So as you've mentioned, fully licensed DMT, I have my Fire 1 and 2 certifications from the state of Missouri. My goal and desire is to just provide practically, tangibly to the citizens of the city. And I will continue to recuse myself when the ethical requirements from the state require me to. And I will always preface opinions, as everybody else has opinions about the city, with the bias that I could have about the fire department, and hold me to account for it. I want to make sure that what we discuss and what we decide on and what we agree to and what we disagree to is based on the facts rather than, a bias or a lean that any one person has. So,
Okay.
Thank you for your consideration.
I wanted to make a motion that that his whole entire title be approved. I'm sorry, I'm out of order.
Sorry, the motion is already made.
Oh,
Yes,
it's
and
been-
it's been
I'll second
seconded. No,
It's already been said.
yes. So all we have to do at this point, unless there's further discussion, is call the roll.
Okay, since you're in the personnel meeting also, right?
Mhm.
Well, if it came up that you wanted to change the pay scale and stuff in the fire department, would you have to recuse yourself?
We've talked about this as a board before, and this applies to anybody, regardless of whether I'm employed as a volunteer or not. This applies to anybody that has family that also works for the city. When a motion comes before the board, such as relates to pay of an entire department or entire class of employees, the ethical requirements of elected officials is that if it impacts our spouse, within the
Household
fourth degree of consanguinity, I know I butchered that word, but here we go. Then if it impacts all members equally, a recusal is not necessary. If it impacts my family member directly and separately from the rest of the class, the rest of part-time firefighter EMTs, the rest of the fire department, if it impacts her directly and separately, such as a contract to pay for an EMT license that we have individually with people, I would recuse myself in instances like that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, and there's a book that the Missouri Ethics Committee provides to elected officials that describes situations like that. And I've read it so much that I can cite that section verbatim. So if you want, I can point you to that. Clerk Chapman has a book I can provide you that talks about that specifically.
Okay, anyone else with a question?
I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a discussion that I enjoy us having.
Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Abstain?
Callaghan,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Okay. Next, Serenity.
Next item that we discussed was the health insurance. So a lot of this might be repetitive because I also wasn't here for most of that health insurance discussion, so personnel filled me in on most of it. But the main thing that we want is to get some feedback from the staff. So we had some staff that were present. The main complaint that we got is with the price increase for the I&O plans is huge. So it's pretty unsustainable in my opinion. So when we have this relook in October, I think that's something that we really need to very closely look at because that's very harshly affected people who are on the I&O plan. But obviously we have great feedback from other people who are on the high deductible plans and stuff. So not like it's all negative, but it's something that we need to look at very closely, I think, in October. And then another question was if there was a way, I know that you sent out a survey before, if maybe we could put another survey together, just asking them for their feedback. Hey, we did this change. This is the update to your health insurance. What do you think about it? How did this affect you personally? If we were to make updates, what do you think they should be? It doesn't need to be super complicated. I think mostly just how satisfied are you with the change would probably be appropriate. So that way, when we have a relook in October.
I would suggest that we do that 3 months out from here. To give people
give people
time
time.
to actually use the plans.
Well, that would be when we were doing the relook. From my understanding is that we're gonna kind of reevaluate in October.
So 3 months is September.
Okay, so then, yeah, if we kind of do maybe, then that gives us a month to kind of get that feedback and evaluate and then make a decision.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that was what we had on the health insurance. We talked about that recruitment campaign that police brought to us. We decided to just leave it tabled. We didn't decide to bring it back up, so unless the board wants to bring that back up, personnel committee is not recommending to. And then the last thing, well, not the last thing, second to last thing is the animal control duties. So did we, Matthew, do you happen to know if we got a response from KC Pet Project? Not sure. I don't think I got an email.
They gave out the wrong information to us.
Okay,
They will not take our animals.
they won't take them? Okay.
They recommended wayside waves, so Lisa said she's gonna be.
Okay, so we have Lisa kind of looking into, we've looked at this before, but again, we're just kind of re-looking at if there's somebody else who will take the dogs that we've had for long-term, so that way we don't have to just keep providing constant care for them. And if they're going to an adoption agency or something, there's a much better chance that they will get adoption and be in a good home versus being stuck here in Pleasant Valley. So that's something that we're looking into. And then the police are going to be taking over caring for the dogs over the weekend, so that way we do not have to pay overtime to Public Works, don't have to waste their time, have them drive out here. It'll be the on-duty officers that are already here, at least for the time being. This is what we're looking at, so we'll get back to you if there's updates on that. And then we are still in the early process of that fit for duty policy, so
Okay.
at the next personnel meeting, we'll have more information about other cities or MIRMA's recommendations on what to do for that. And that is it.
So where are the dogs housed?
So I just have one question, which is, are police are they gonna take care of the dogs this week or?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's kind of up to, I think the way that we kind of left it, the personnel was if you guys just want to work that out between your two departments, I have no problem with you guys having oversight on that and deciding the best way to take care of it, just to.
And then to clarify with you, Jared, Public Works will answer the dog calls during our regular shift. And you guys will continue to do dog calls outside of our regular shift.
So where are the animals housed at?
At the Public Works building.
Oh, okay.
We have 3 pens.
And how many dogs do we have there now?
One.
Okay.
What's his name, Jake?
So I would encourage
Can't remember
you to
people's names.
schedule some time with,
Oh,
with
yeah.
with Chris, and this goes for anybody on the board. With touring and the visiting all the city properties is a really important thing to do. We're talking about building maintenance, we're talking about dog policies. It's important to see the facilities that we're talking about. So I would encourage you to schedule some time with the department heads to see what their different areas have, and especially for the dog section. Chris will be a great resource to show you around.
The kennel is regulated by the Department of Agriculture.
Okay.
Inspections once per year, guidelines.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Patrick.
Yes, good evening. I'm gonna try to keep this short. So in front of you, you have 2 different charts. So the first you've seen before. This is the general fund revenues compared to running average of prior 5 years with the percentages listed vertically. So each month, the second meeting of the month, you will get an updated copy of it. What we're looking for is on this sheet for the orange line to stay above the blue line. That's it. And if there's something that's abnormal, we'll talk about it. So we just had the month of May added. We're still above the blue line. That's good for our city's income. There is a second chart that is provided as well that talks about, instead of percentages, so the first one talks percentages. This one talks about income versus expenses as a dollar amount. So what we want to see is the green line stay above the red line. The green line represents our income for a particular month. Our red line indicates our expenses. The minute that we have our expenses exceed our revenues is the minute that our general fund revenue is shrinking in size. And that's and that triggers a conversation. So what we're looking for on this is the lines to be spaced far apart and for the green line to be above the red line. Trying to simplify it, provide as much data and information as possible. So I'm excited about these. We will have a third one at our next, at the second board meeting in July that will have very similar to the running average with the long blue line. We'll have one for expenses as well.
I'm gonna, the professor in me is coming out.
Yes.
Can we please put like percentage budget on the left-hand side?
I believe we got
And
the,
label and monthly, I would greatly appreciate it, because when someone else goes back to review this, they're gonna be like, what is this? Just a suggestion. Thank you so much for the hard work you're doing, though. Appreciate it.
yes. That's my update for this meeting. Does anyone have any questions for me? Awesome, thank you.
That was short. Okay. Can we go ahead and allow me to do the sewer fund for the 7 month? I want to do a 7 month rather than a 6 month.
I'm sorry, what is this about?
CDs
Okay,
out of sewer.
sure.
I want to take up to 300,000 and do up to a 7 month CD.
Okay, so in addition to our existing 500,000.
Yes, yes.
To add another CD to that investment account, maximum of 250 per CD. Otherwise, any excess amount exceeds the FDIC insured amount. So I would support a recommendation to create a CD at the, get market values, bring back a selection and an assortment of what our options are.
I want to get this done by the 30th of June.
Okay. Matthew, what information would you need from the board on something like this? Just a willingness to do it?
Yeah, if you give me
Okay.
the direction, I will solicit the rates, and I will, if the board gives its approval, then I will work through the mayor. We'll get the money, the funds transferred to the CD.
Okay, so while we have this short discussion, I want to make sure that when we make the motion, you guys are fully understanding what we're talking about. So today, we have like $1.2 million in the sewer fund. 500,000 of it-ish is in an investment account. 700,000-ish is in a regular checking style account that is earning minimal interest on it. And so what Mayor Flippen is talking about is moving some of the 700,000 into the $500,000 investment account and purchasing a CD at a mid to short term range, 6 to 7 month range, that would provide an interest rate of about like 3 to 5%, depending on what our current rates are.
And you want to do 300,000?
No,
For
250.
Just for 250, okay.
250.
FDIC.
Well, I wasn't sure if we wanted to do 2 different CDs, if you wanted to do more.
250 is sufficient.
And so we would talk about liquidity a little bit in the past. So moving it into the investment account does not lock it away. If at any point over the next 6 months, we find that we need some of that additional money, we can go interact with the bank, ask to sell some of the CDs, and we won't lose money. Like, it's a very safe vehicle for but there may be some interest rate fluctuations and what somebody else would pay for the remainder of our CD. So I'll make a motion. I'm very supportive of this. We talk about utilizing some of the additional income generated from these accounts to fund some of our needs.
Okay, Mr. Chris had a question.
Yeah.
Just a quick little history, for those that may not know. We had a sewer replacement tap that the Sunshine set on 5 or 6 years ago. That, when he just quoted, I think 1.2 million in the sewer account, that sounds like, oh, wow, that's all. A lot of that has been established for when we have to start replacing sections of the city. It's not necessarily just for like televising, scoping, and jetting. Because that, replacing that stuff can get extremely costly. That was just.
So that CD money, interest money that we would get from the CD would go back into the sewer account. Just so everybody knows.
Because it's restricted funds.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because we currently have CDs up there, this will put in a rotation.
Yes.
That potentially, if we need a couple $100,000, one of the other ones will become due.
Yes.
And maybe not necessarily even take a risk of losing a dollar. So that rotating them in so that there's money available every couple of months. If we don't need, we can re-roll it. If we do, we can pull it.
Sewer funds are protected.
Yep, they're restricted.
Yeah, they are restricted and protected.
And I have, Lee and I discussed it, and I have enough money to do what I want to do this year and actually going forward. I got a bad number from, I got a $7.50 linear footage price from the company. When I reached out to another company, it was $250.
Big variation
So
there.
my 170,000 cost for the section that I was gonna do is now like 40 years with repair money in case we have a repair or two. That those also can be very expensive. So going forward, I'm gonna do the city in 4 sections like I stated originally instead of the 3 we used to do. And I think we'll be fine with that going forward.
So I'll make a motion. I move that we pull $250,000 from the sewer fund, place it into the investment account, and find a suitable investment of CD within that account, targeting 67 months.
Second.
Clerk call the roll.
Callender,
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes,
Freeman,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
And I do want to add, we talked about doing this same strategy with other
I'll
funds.
come back to you with the road and street at the next meeting.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, any new business?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
I
I'm
have
sorry.
some.
Okay.
Matthew, could you make us up telephone numbers again? Because we got a lot of new people and we don't have their numbers or address.
One additional thing that we had during the finance session was when John and I were signing checks, we noticed that we received a bill 2 months in a row for, from FiberTel something regarding the telephone lines that the city owns. It's like 40 telephone numbers. It's an exorbitant amount, and I think from a board, we should request that the city do an audit of necessary phone numbers and unnecessary phone numbers to try to reduce the cost of that bill, because it is $1,000.
And this is what vendor?
Everfast Fiber.
Is that Polygram? Is that part of Polygram?
I think Holly is just the maker of it.
That's just the manufacturer.
That's what it's through.
Yeah.
Are these cell phones or?
No, these are
Desk.
landlines.
Okay.
These are desk phone landlines.
Hmm.
It gets crazier. Not only do we have 40 different phone numbers, so for example, in the hallway of the fire department might have 2 different phones. Those phones would have 2 different phone numbers to allow for residents to call that weird phone as opposed to like coming in through the main front door. We need to simplify our our incoming call section to not be direct phone numbers to random phones scattered across the city. Utilize the calling tree, have our designated phone numbers, figure out from the department heads which numbers are required. The challenge is going to be on you, Chief, because you have some of those public safety style phone numbers that some of the other departments might not have. But what I'm hoping to come from this is a targeted plan for the divestiture of some of the phone numbers that we have so that we slim it down and consolidate it to what's really required. Additionally,
Who's gonna do that survey thing?
I believe Clerk Chapman is going to coordinate all of that.
With the help of Lisa.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't mind helping out. I've been around telephones and stuff. I can help explain and do stuff behind the scenes to help make that process easier. One of the crazy things is many of these phones cost maybe $40. Many of them are. Some of them cost more. Some of the dispatching phone equipment, some of the the city clerk's phone, it's a little nicer upgrade. Those cost maybe $70 to $80. On many of those 40 lines, we're paying a rental fee of $10 per month for that phone number, or for that physical phone.
For the actual
For
hardware?
the hardwired physical phone,
Oh
picking
my
up that
goodness.
phone, we're paying an additional $10 per month rental fee on. So trying to trim this down and figure out what the city really needs instead of seeing this bloated bill come past every month.
Good idea.
Clerk Chapman, do you have any questions about that? No? Okay.
Just
cool.
reach out to him if you do. All right, let's go to ordinances, people. Matthew, would you please read Council Bill number 3597?
An ordinance amending the employee salary step plan schedule for the city of Pleasant Valley, Missouri.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, would you like me to ask for a motion and a second to pass Council Bill 3597 on the first and place it on the second?
Please do
That's
that.
after the second reading.
So moved.
You don't do that until after the second reading.
You gotta vote on it.
Yeah, but we gotta do the first reading, and then we vote on it, and then we do a second reading, and that's when we can.
Oh, we still have to do so moved in second.
So we need a motion
So moved.
and a second. For
Second.
Council Bill 3597. Okay, who made the second? I missed that. Okay. Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yeah,
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
No,
Freeman,
Yeah.
Olson.
Yes.
Okay, it again?
Madam Mayor, would you like me to read Council Bill 3597?
Yes.
An ordinance amending the employee salary step plan schedule for the city of Pleasant Valley, Missouri. Madam Mayor, would you like me to ask for a motion and a second to pass Council Bill 3597 as ordinance 3596?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Kim, I'm sorry, can we have a discussion during this section?
Sure.
We got a first and a second. Okay. I am very much a communicator. I wish that the board talks, and if somebody has a reason to disagree with passing something, I think that those reasons may be valid, and if you have information that relates to our voting on something, I want to consider it. I don't want to just approve something and there be a better option out there. So I would ask if you're planning to vote no on something, you're well within your rights to do so. But if there's bullet points that I'm not considering when I vote yes, I would like to make sure that I'm doing a well-educated vote. So, Dean, I noticed that you voted no. Am I missing something? Is there a reason why we
I'm
shouldn't
just
pass it?
not in favor of the board. Sorry. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
You've already heard me say it earlier that I'm not in favor of it. I'm not.
But we're doing the ordinance for the salary step plan.
No, he's talking about the,
No,
So we're talking about the,
we're talking about the salary step plan,
Oh.
3597. That's why we're asking you why you're voting no.
I didn't vote no on that.
yeah, you did.
Yes, you did.
that I voted on the other ordinance.
We haven't voted on it yet.
Yeah, you have to vote on them each twice.
So the first ordinance wasn't it for the board appointments?
No.
No. It's for
But that
the,
says 3597.
So
Yes,
look
right,
at
that's
council
it.
bill number, the one on the left. The numbers are off by one. I don't
When you
know
make it
why.
the council bill, it makes it to the ordinance and the
Okay,
number
so,
shifts.
okay, so
Yeah.
I'm looking at 3597, so I'm confused on that, so, no, I'm for the step plan, but I'm
Okay,
just,
well, now's our chance to, our second.
Here's the second vote, and
Okay.
this will be the second vote for the employee salary step plan schedule.
so you can change your vote to
yes,
yes.
I'll change my vote to yes. I'm
Okay,
sorry, I was
it's okay.
looking at another one.
Yeah, we do.
Yes. Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes,
Freeman,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
And we're now going to move on to 3599. 98. Oh, sorry. Okay, please read Council Bill number 3598.
An ordinance amending chapter 115, article 3, section 115.120, Parks and Recreation Board appointments of the Pleasant Valley City Code. Madam Mayor, would like to ask for a motion and a second to pass Council Bill 3598 on the first and place it on the second.
Yes, let's do that.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion by Callaghan, second by Serenity. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
no,
Freeman,
Oh, yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, would you like to read Council Bill 3598?
Yes, please.
An ordinance amending chapter 115, article 3, section 115.120, Park and Recreation Board appointments of the Pleasant Valley City Code. Madam Mayor, would you like me to ask for a motion and a second to pass Council Bill 3598 as ordinance 3597?
Please do that.
So moved.
Second?
Any other discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
no,
Freeman,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Okay, please read Council Bill number 3599.
An ordinance amending chapter 115, boards, committees, and commissions of the Pleasant Valley City Code. Madam Mayor, would you like me to ask for a motion and a second to pass Council Bill 3599 on the first and place it on the second?
Please do.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion?
So this is the same one we saw before. It's just, it's been through legal and now we're
Yes.
seeing it to make it
Yes.
official.
And just to make sure, we got the thumbs up from legal, right? Okay.
Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
yes,
Freeman,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Recommend Bill.
Madam Mayor, would you like me to read Council Bill 3599?
Please do.
An ordinance amending chapter 115, boards, committees, and commissions of the Pleasant Valley City Code. Madam Mayor, would you like me to ask for a motion and a second to pass Council Bill 3599 as ordinance 3598?
Please do.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
yes,
Freeman,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
I move we adjourn.
Yes.
Second. Clerk, call the roll.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Callaghan,
Yes.
Jacoby,
Yes.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Showers,
yes.
Freeman,
Oh, yeah.
Olson.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's Debbie ready.
Ready, up and ready. Okay.
Oh.
Before everybody rushes out the door that's on the council, please check your calendars and see if you will be available the 24th. Have a wonderful trip Yeah, they-
you.
Take pictures and enjoy.
In Italy, I head out tomorrow.
So, I want to see a picture of you holding up the Eiffel Tower.
That'll be fun.
That short time is it, you know?
I don't
Because we
know,
have to have a special
we
board
wait till
meeting
2 weeks is
right
over.
after the Board of
Oh, is it
Zoning,
2
and we
weeks now,
can't
though?
do it on the
Okay, I haven't
23rd,
seen
and I
this.
need a quorum.
Well, I'll have to look into that.
I haven't seen it in the last few days anyway. But no, I've had to do that report and one minute tell you things. I had one lady, her dog, she lives in Folsom, said she's afraid to cross the street to get over to Sarah because of these people.